1 week, that's all it took for Ducati to go from champagne showers to internal fire drills. After a dream weekend in Japan where Marquez sealed his historic seventh title and Bagnaia doubled down with back-to-back wins, Ducati looked untouchable. But fast forward to Mandalika and Phillip Island, and the garage might as well have been a pressure cooker. Gone were the smiles, the celebrations, the confident paddock strolls. In their place, tight lips, quiet garages, and a team that suddenly looked more like it was bracing for a storm than riding one. Ducati didn't just stumble, they face-planted into a stretch of disaster that left fans, journalists, and probably even their espresso machine asking, what the hell just happened? This isn't your usual racing slump. This is MotoGP's equivalent of a Formula One meltdown, and at the center of it all is a man who once looked unstoppable. And now can't seem to keep it upright. Let's be blunt, Pecco Bagnaia is unraveling like an overheating soft compound tire. Since Japan he scored 0 points, that's right, not even a pity podium. Front-end collapses have become his signature exit move. At Phillip Island, he admitted on record that he'd rather crash than finish dead last. Savage honesty, sure, but also a red flag the size of Mugello's Strait. Ducati may have secured him on contract until 2026, but the confidence. That's not just gone, it's gone fishing in another country. Once the smooth, relentless force of Italian precision, Bagnaia now looks like he's wrestling a bike that hates him. And it's mutual. Mechanics whisper, engineers look confused, and every camera that catches his face tells the same story, frustration boiling under a helmet that used to hold a champion. Whatever's broken here isn't just mechanical, it's... The GP25 was supposed to be an upgrade, a masterpiece. Ducati's engineering love led her to domination. Instead, it's become the problem child of MotoGP, unpredictable, twitchy, and downright moody in dirty air. Think of it like a race-winning diva, powerful but only when conditions are perfect and nobody else is around. Vermin Aldegar, riding the satellite version, quietly backed up Pecco's complaints. The bike moves too much when following others, he said, and that's MotoGP suicide in today's nose-to-tail battles. At Phillip Island, cameras caught Pecco's bike shaking like a washing machine on spin cycle, not exactly what you want from the most expensive motorcycle in the paddock. The GP25 doesn't turn the way the GP24 did, and even Ducati's brightest minds can't seem to decode why. It's not evolution, it's revolution without a manual. And riders are paying the price. For most of 2025, Ducati's Inside Ducati series gave fans a golden ticket behind the curtain. Engineers arguing about settings, riders debriefing over coffee, mechanics celebrating like they'd just won the lottery. It was the kind of raw content that made you feel like part of the team. But then came Indonesia and suddenly radio silence. The cameras didn't just stop rolling, they got shoved out of the garage. No more tense strategy meetings, no more visible frustration. Just polished PR interviews and awkward smiles. It was like watching a band smile through a breakup tour, and the fans noticed. When a team known for transparency goes full no comment, you don't need a pit lane pass to know something's wrong. Ducati didn't just close the doors, they locked them, threw away the key, and pretended everything was fine. But the paddock sees everything, and in this sport, silence is the loudest scream. Enter the doctor, not the GP kind, the MotoGP legend kind. Valentino Rossi broke his silence and slid into the drama like he never left. Speaking to Sky Sport Italia, he dropped what might be the most polite mic drop of the season. Pecco's a 3-time world champion, he's just struggling a bit. That bit did some heavy lifting. Rossi hinted that riding next to Marquez, MotoGP's most intense competitor, might have shaken Pecco more than Ducati wants to admit. Translation: Ducati's golden boy just got out-alphaed in his own garage. Coming from Rossi, that's not gossip, that's gospel. And when the man who mentored Pecco says they're trying to help him 100%, it means the situation is already DEFCON 2. Meanwhile, Ducati kept the corporate poker face. We don't think it's a mental thing. Sure, and the GP25 doesn't vibrate. Rossi didn't just defend his protege, he reframed the whole story. This isn't just tech trouble, this is personal. When a MotoGP rider says they'd rather crash than finish last, that's not racing spirit, that's a red alert. And Pecco said it straight-faced. His form isn't just dipping, it's nose-diving into the gravel trap of self-doubt. Insiders are whispering about tension with Ducati's top engineers, and it shows. The once fluid, composed champion now looks stiff, frustrated, and more isolated by the race. He told engineers the bike doesn't turn, I have to force it. It doesn't work. You could hear the panic, even Vermin Aldegar backed him up. It moves too much when you're close. That's not just a setup issue, that's a full-blown identity crisis for a rider whose entire rhythm relied on cornering confidence. What used to be muscle memory now feels like guesswork. It's not just a front-end issue, it's a full system overload. When a MotoGP team's golden boy crashes out 4 races in a row, someone's gotta take the fall, but not in this garage. Ducati's media machine went into high gear with damage control. Pecco not affected mentally. We're working on it together. But the vibe more like a family dinner where everyone's smiling but nobody's talking about the elephant stomping on the lasagna. Meanwhile, rumors started swirling, Ducati's shopping. Names like Pedro Acosta, Aldegar, Fabio Quartararo are being thrown around like sponsor hats after a podium. And here's the kicker, Pecco still has a contract through 2026, but MotoGP contracts are like weather forecasts, useful but easily blown away by the next storm. Ducati says they support him. Rossi says they're trying to help, the paddock watching closely, the support's still there for now. But patience in this sport burns out faster than soft rear tires on a hot track. Ducati has a plan, or at least a very expensive hope. Ahead of Sepang, they're reportedly reverting Pecco's GP25 setup back to his golden zone, the geometry and components from the February test where he felt like himself again. Back to basics, back to what worked. It's not reinvention, it's a factory-wide CTRL plus Z, the 2024 chassis old swingarm familiar frame stiffness. It's like giving a concert pianist their favorite piano back after 6 months of playing on a typewriter. Simon Patterson put it bluntly, he's been chasing a base setting all season. Most riders figure that out in round one. Sepang won't just test the bike, it'll test Ducati's entire problem-solving strategy. Will this reset actually fix the feel? Or is it lipstick on a very fast, very unstable pig? The garage is betting big on muscle memory. Hopping Pecco's brain remembers how to trust the bike again. Because if this doesn't work, there is no next setup, there's just next year. Let's play the what-if game, and it's getting very real very fast. What if Pecco, the two-time MotoGP champ, bails on the factory squad? Sounds crazy, not anymore. Rumors now point to a dramatic switch, Pecco jumping ship to VR46, Rossi's own team, for a reset. Imagine that, Ducati's poster boy wearing yellow and black, not red. It'd be like Messi going back to Rosario mid-season. But here's the catch, even if Pecco's contract says 2026, paddock whispers say he's already drifting away mentally. Rossi's presence is strong, his loyalty stronger. If Ducati keeps pushing and Pecco keeps falling, the homecoming move becomes more than speculation, it becomes survival. Meanwhile, the factory lines up fresh talent ready to step in if the ship sinks. It's not just about lap times anymore, it's about energy, fit, and chemistry. And right now, Ducati and Pecco are looking more like exes than teammates. Sepang isn't just another race. It's the moment, the reset, the last real chance for Ducati and Pecco to stop the bleeding before the 2026 clock starts ticking louder than a misfiring clutch. With Marquez sidelined, all eyes and pressure land squarely on Pecco's shoulders. But there's a silver lining, he can finally ride without the constant shadow of comparison. No more side-by-side telemetry battles with Marquez, just him, the track, and a setup he used to trust. Ducati's banking on it, Pecco's brain needs it, and the paddock, they're watching like it's season finale night. If the bike works and he rebounds, even slightly, the comeback story writes itself. But if it does, if the instability remains and confidence continues to crumble, then forget contracts. 2026 might start with a new bike, a new garage, and a rider trying to remember who he used to be. Sepang won't just define the season, it could decide a career.